Welcome to the Confident Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Johnson. If you find yourself here, it may mean that you're looking for courage, clarity, or confidence in some part of your life. I interview experts in business and life each week and share strategies for success, motivation, and mindset. If you want to learn more about how I can help you grow your business as an extension of yourself and help transform you into a confident entrepreneur, check out my website and my online business courses at jenniferannjohnson.com or join my private Facebook group at Confident Entrepreneur. Now let's get started. Today, we welcome into the studio Amy Bright. She's the owner of Amy Bright Creative, and she represents a diverse skill set with experience in results generating brand development, marketing, advertising, account management, creativity development, copywriting, public speaking, vendor and customer relations, and many. Amy, I would be here like for the whole podcast talking about
We
all
could
you
talk
do.
for hours.
Oh my gosh, you do so much. All that, and you're an amazing singer.
Thank you.
I've heard you sing just like quick little snippets that are we're in Toastmasters together,
Mhm.
and every so often you'll belt something out. And you're amazing.
Oh, thank
You're
you.
amazing. So
I
welcome.
appreciate that. Thank you.
We're talking all about marketing for your small
Mhm.
business for 2024.
Mhm.
Things change rapidly in the marketing industry, don't they?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Technology changes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of platforms are coming along and going by the wayside. So there's a lot of change there. But the general philosophy and psychology of marketing really hasn't changed. So we'll talk about that a little bit more.
Absolutely. So looking into 2024 here, we're at the beginning of the year.
Mhm.
What what kind of new things have you seen that are on the forefront of coming out this year or maybe just started at the end of last year that we all really need to embrace?
Well, I would definitely say going into 2024, just as we've seen in the past couple years, more and more short form content, especially in video format.
And so what do you mean by short form?
Short form meaning 15-second maximum videos
Okay.
where it's just little snippets of information that leave the audience wanting more.
Okay.
That's going to continue, and people's attention spans are decreasing more
Right.
and more and more. I think the average right now is like 8 seconds. People
Wow.
have a attention span of 8 seconds or less. So getting those little snippets of information to serve people with whatever messaging you have quickly
Mhm.
is really important,
So
more than ever.
now that you're talking about that, how do you get so if their attention span is 8 seconds, you probably shouldn't do a video for double that, right? Like how do you get your message to somebody in 8 seconds?
Can never get the whole message in 8 seconds, but you can get little kind of appetizers, if
Mhm.
you will, that leave the audience wanting to know more. And a lot of people refer to this as micro content.
Okay.
So you can have a big message, your big macro content, your big macro message, and narrow it down into smaller bite sized pieces that educate or give information about your product or service without telling the entire story.
Okay.
But it gives them it's like dating where you get a little bit of information up front, and then you go a little further and
Mhm.
deeper in the relationship, and you get to know more and more about the brand, more about the business, and decide, that really aligns with
Right.
what I'm looking
Mhm.
for. Therefore, I would purchase from that brand. Little bite-sized
Right.
pieces. Mhm.
Do you have to have a copywriter to be able to to be able to write something that's so compelling?
It depends. Many people do. It's
Mhm.
amazing how many people are not good at writing. They may think they are, but
Mhm.
their message is not clear right off the bat. So copywriting is, even with AI on the forefront, copywriting will never go away.
Okay.
Understanding how to really connect with an audience
Mhm.
often takes a professional or just a very intelligently creative mind
Mhm.
to come up with ways that or words that will resonate with a particular audience.
Right. And we're going to talk about AI in a little bit
Mhm.
because that's I know a big one. Okay, so short form content is
Mhm.
something that's big for 2024.
Definitely.
What else?
There is a big movement. It's already begun, but it's getting more and more prevalent, and most people are calling it social commerce.
Okay.
It's another form of e-commerce using social platforms to actually sell, not just to talk about the interest of, what's
Mhm.
interesting about your product or service, but actually going for the final sale
Mhm.
in the social media realm. That's becoming more and more prevalent every
So
day.
so now that you're talking about that, we as a company, as True Fashionistas goes, we've been selling on Facebook. Is that kind of what you're talking about? So
Mhm,
we've been
mhm,
selling on Facebook for a long time, but the
mhm,
concern is that Facebook all of a sudden just shuts people down, right?
mhm, mhm,
And so we as a company took it we've been doing it since before the pandemic. I mean, honestly, we started way before that and we were
mhm,
selling on our website live videos.
mhm,
We got away from that and selling on Facebook now. And now we're like, oh, you know how Facebook owns your audience,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
We're like, I don't know that we can do that anymore. So just, recently we've transferred to back on our website.
mhm.
And I'm not sure how it's, going to pan out, but it's interesting, because people do shop like that. It's like it's the new shopping channel,
It kind
right?
of is, and there are so many channels.
Mhm.
Therefore, if you have something to sell and you wanna be on many different channels, which you should be, in my opinion, there are there's a cost to doing business with
Mhm.
every channel that you're on. So there's a little percentage over here, a little percentage
Right.
over here, a little percentage over here. So in my opinion, driving people back to your website is old school,
Mhm.
but it works.
Right.
And it's
Exactly.
one central location where you can have all your e-commerce set up and drive people from the different social media platforms.
Mhm.
In my opinion, that's still the way to go. So are things changing? Absolutely. Many channels are coming up with their own shopping platform.
Right.
However, to your point,
Mhm.
what happens if something goes awry
Right.
with that social platform? Then you've lost an entire channel.
Right.
So, and when you say Facebook shut you down, help me understand.
So Facebook, not us, but
Mhm.
Facebook, hopefully not ever. But Facebook has just, they'll suspend accounts.
Okay,
They'll just
sure.
ban account. They'll be like, oh well,
Mhm,
it's like their bots go in and think
mhm,
that there's something like on a personal account, right?
mhm,
They'll shut people down. They'll take away their account
mhm.
because their bot caught somebody in a swimsuit and they took it as sexual content, right?
Right.
It's stuff like that that is erroneous, but their
Mhm.
bot is what you can't argue with a bot,
That's
right?
right, that's
And
right.
so a lot of people can be running scared from that for a little bit,
Mhm.
going, "Oh, what if? What if they shut us down?"
Yeah. I call it Facebook jail.
Right.
I've been in Facebook jail. It's not a fun place to be,
No.
and you begin to wonder, is it really worth even trying to escape Facebook jail, or should
Exactly.
I just go to another platform?
Right.
Honestly. I do have a client right now that's facing that very situation. Her ad account was shut
Mhm.
down. Now, this was before I started working with her because she came to me recently and said,
Right.
"What do I do about this?" I said, "Well, that's a really sticky wicket. It's
Mhm.
very, very hard to escape from that." And basically, what they've told her through electronic communications, there's
Right.
you
Yeah.
can't reach anybody. I mean, it is a company, just, Google is also a company.
Right.
There are people in offices and cubicles and what have you, or in their home
We just
offices.
never see them.
We just never see them, and they're virtually impossible to
Right.
reach, pardon the
Mhm.
pun. And they gave this message to her that said, "This is irrevocable. You will never be able to," some very, it's like getting the blue screen of
Scary.
death on your PC.
Right.
It was this very, very finite
Mhm.
message, and I said, "If you receive a finite message from a platform, I I think it's pretty
Mhm.
dead on." And so we found a workaround, using another
Mhm.
another account that she has through a family member so that she can still run
Ugh.
ads. So I
Well,
understand what you're saying.
right.
Yeah, I was curious.
Right.
Yeah.
It's always a scare when you don't quote
Mhm.
unquote own your audience
Right.
and another platform owns your audience.
Right. With your website, you own your audience. Now, how you drive them there is up to you.
Right.
And
Exactly.
that's something that it works depending on where you're reaching your
Right.
audience. Mhm.
Absolutely. Is your closet overflowing? Or maybe your kids' closets are as well. Or maybe you just want to redecorate your house. If you're wondering what to do with all that stuff that you've accumulated, bring it all to True Fashionistas or even ship it to them for free. They'll sell your unwanted items for you They'll take away all the hassle, and all you have to do is sit back and collect your money. You can reach out to them online at truefashionistas.com, come into the store, or check them out on Facebook or Instagram, and that's truefashionistas.com. All right, friends, we are back in the studio with Amy Bright, and we are talking about marketing trends for 2024. I know we got hung up a little bit on the whole Facebook thing and the social shopping, but what other trends are you seeing come down the pike that maybe we can, as business owners, be ahead of the curve on?
Mhm. Certainly, podcasting
Hmm.
has exploded,
Yes, I
as we see
know.
here. Sponsorship type advertising in podcasting is only growing,
Hmm.
and to get a brand in front of a very niche audience, that is definitely a way to do it.
Right.
Now, many people get hung up on how many people they're going to reach. I'm old school in terms of my teaching comes from my mentor who I never had the opportunity to meet when he was
Hmm.
alive. I have two, Leo Burnett and David Ogilvy.
Okay.
David Ogilvy was famous as the father of advertising, and he always said, "Don't count the people you reach the people who count."
Oh, I like that.
Mhm,
That makes
and
complete
it
sense.
really does, and so these podcasts that have very specific
Hmm.
types of followers are excellent places to reach a market that may not be enormous,
Hmm.
but it's if it's your buying audience and you're able to get into a sponsorship relationship with a podcast, with a podcaster that
Hmm.
that is speaking to your audience, that can be extremely powerful for your business.
Right.
Mhm.
The riches are in the niches.
The riches are in the niches.
You
Yeah.
hear that? I mean,
Yeah.
I hear that all the time, and that's very true.
Mhm.
Hyper targeted.
Yeah, and similarly, many brands out there are more interested in micro influencers as
Okay.
opposed to really high profile influencers who have, millions of
Mhm.
followers. A lot of brands aren't necessarily looking for millions of followers. They're looking for the right followers.
Mhm.
They're trying to reach the people who count. And podcast advertising is certainly one of the ways to do that.
And I have to say something to say about the whole influencer thing. We back in the day as a company used to use influencers,
Mhm.
and they had millions of people.
But how many of
They
those converted?
none,
Mhm,
right? We paid them stupid money
mhm,
to do nothing for us because they followed through and did what they said they were going to do.
mhm.
But the people that are, you could have millions of followers, but maybe it's not millions of people commenting and looking at your stuff every day.
Right, and it's such a diverse audience out there because not everybody listens to podcasts.
Right.
Not everybody is on Facebook.
Mhm.
Not everybody, is on, name any platform. It's very diverse. People come from all different places and they all have different preferences.
Mhm.
So you can't really focus on one arena and think you're going to reach
Right.
an entire audience. You've got to focus in on those smaller
Mhm.
audiences. And I love to use the example of soap operas, the original TV soap opera.
Oh,
When
yes.
when TV came out,
Mhm.
arguably the majority of people were watching TV. And at the time, primarily women who were home during the day being homemakers were watching
Right.
TV at every opportunity they had
Mhm.
because it was new and exciting and it was one of the most watched and listened to mediums since the radio kind of, fell away
Right.
slightly. And they're called soap operas because they were dramas that were sponsored by soap companies.
I
That's
never knew that.
that is literally why they're called soap operas because they were sponsored, and when we say sponsor,
Mhm.
every advertisement is a sponsorship when you think
Right.
about it. It's putting money behind content
Mhm.
and to get it in front of a particular audience. So these, detergent companies were realizing, "Oh, geez, we've got this captive audience of women at home that are
Mhm.
using, name any type of soap, whether it's Palmolive, Ivory Snow, Cheer, what have you,
Wow.
whether it's
Mhm.
or Dove, it's a soap for your body
Right.
or it's a soap for your clothing or what have you. That was reaching the women of the household. It
Mhm.
was genius. And so that was a huge audience. Now we're experiencing the same thing really. So that's what I mean by
Right.
there are new trends, but that is a very uh effective way to
Mhm.
advertise to reach your audience, you're just not gonna reach it as broadly as maybe in the days of the soap opera.
Right. And now look at a lot of the soap operas are what's left of them, right?
Mhm,
They're
mhm.
streaming on services.
Sure.
They're no longer on the big, NBC, ABC, that kind
Yes,
of thing.
and they're not necessarily being watched during the daytime hours,
No,
right, all
because
mhm.
I'm a Days of Our Lives junkie.
Oh, hey, I never would have guessed that,
Ah,
Jennifer.
oh my gosh. Okay, I just confessed something. Should I have said that?
That's funny. Yeah, we won't go down that rabbit trail, but yes, my mother was addicted to General
Oh my
Hospital.
gosh, my
Yes,
mother was
yes,
too.
and so I'd
Oh,
come home from school and sit there with her and watch
uh-huh.
it.
And One Life to Live. I my
Never
mother
any other,
oh
it
my
was
gosh,
always just General
funny.
Hospital.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So, anything else that we could do to stay ahead of the curve in 2024?
I think staying out of the curve well, certainly we have to talk about AI a little
Oh,
bit.
okay,
Yes.
yes, we absolutely need to talk about AI.
Yes.
That is very important,
Yes.
very.
Yes. So, the thing with AI, artificial intelligence, for anybody who
Mhm,
doesn't know, is it is artificial at the
mhm,
end of the day, and it can only regurgitate what it's been told. And so when you're developing content for a particular audience, AI is a good way to get some ideas started maybe, but it's not gonna be very personal. It's
mhm,
not gonna be very nuanced. It's gonna be very general.
mhm.
And so using AI as sure, it's to stay on the forefront. Yes, dipping into the AI pool is probably a good idea just to organize your thought process and develop an idea around a message, but actually writing the message, I don't recommend using AI. I really recommend hiring an excellent copywriter
Mhm.
or just an excellent communicator to help you really home in on your audience and draw out the right way to reach them. I'll say it until the cows come home.
I totally agree with you
It's my
because
soapbox.
you can put so you're talking about, like, writing content, for example.
Mhm.
Before we go further into that, what is your favorite AI?
My AI tool now it's just a tool, right?
Yes.
Just like a
Right.
hammer, just like a
Mhm.
screwdriver, um, is I love Bard. I'm very Google leaning.
Mhm.
And so I do love using Bard. I also use ChatGPT, but it's a
Mhm.
brand name. It's
Right.
just one of the
Exactly.
many AI
Right.
products out there.
I prefer Bard as well,
Do
and I prefer
you?
it because it has up-to-date information because it's powered by Google. Chat GPT, however, I think it was 2021 is kind of where it stuck.
Mhm.
So, I do prefer that, but I agree that, yes, put it in there for an outline perhaps,
Mhm.
or to a starter,
Mhm.
or to get just a little tidbit that you needed for something that you just can't find the right words. It
Yeah,
gives
you
you
were
framework.
beginning with nothing and your
Exactly.
brain might just need it's kind of like a prompt, a writing prompt in
It is.
school. That's the way I look at it.
Mhm.
And the other way I describe AI is it's the least expensive employee that I have on
Mhm.
staff. It's just a way to kind of get the ball rolling.
Right.
Once the ball is rolling, okay, now we put some more depth into the content because it also doesn't go very deep.
Mhm.
It doesn't pull a lot of
Right.
statistics and certainly not up to date
Right.
statistics. So when you want to beef up a message with some backup information that's based on statistics and surveys and communication from these major companies that aggregate all this
Mhm.
information from all kinds of people all over the world. AI won't really do that for you.
Right.
So you gotta put the beef in there.
Yeah, I agree. And what's interesting is I know AI is going towards a lot of different areas in our businesses. It's not just about the writing and the
No,
content.
no, definitely.
I mean, there's so many things that
Mhm.
I was just at something last week and they were talking about how AI can help figure out snake venom
Interesting. Hmm.
and what snakes that are out there that we have no idea even exist.
Hmm.
And they're coming up with the formulas for the venom.
Interesting.
And, so I didn't really think about it being used in the medical world like that,
Hmm.
but wow,
Wow,
right?
that is
Like what
amazing.
else? People are afraid that people are gonna lose jobs and oh,
Mhm.
this industry is gonna be, I mean, I heard teachers, someone's like, oh my gosh, teachers are in jeopardy because a computer is gonna teach. And I'm like, no, I just don't see that. It's a
Right.
tool, like you said.
Yes, and as with any tool that a human uses,
Hmm.
if you remove the human from the tool is
You
useless.
have a tool.
You
That's
have a
it.
tool.
That
That's right.
doesn't do anything.
And if you remove the tool from the human is fully functional.
Hmm.
However, a tool can be very helpful to the human.
Right.
So we don't want to ever remove the humanity out of our communication. And I guess
Hmm.
that's what I'm saying
Right.
with, adding a little bit of depth, adding a little beef to
Very
a
much.
message requires
Very
human
much.
thought
Hmm.
and consideration of other people's feelings and consideration of how uh, how people may respond to something because that's really what it's all about is
Right.
how do they respond.
Absolutely. Have
Mhm.
you used the tools that do the images? The AI? I
I
have
have
not.
not. I have not. I kinda draw the line because I am an artist. I am in the art
Right.
community as a musician.
Hmm. Right.
So I'm a little guarded about I'm a little guarded about even electronic
Hmm.
music. I love it. I think it has a place, but there's just something beautiful
Hmm.
about the human imperfections that come out in a live performance with
Right.
actual
Right.
musicians. So I feel the same way about art.
Hmm.
Art to me is very much an expression of a person's inner workings,
Hmm.
their inner fabric, how
Right.
their fabric
Right.
is woven
Yes,
together, right?
exactly.
And so if you remove that and you're just asking a computer
Hmm.
to create an image, to me it loses its soul.
Absolutely.
And I think the way we connect with people is through our souls, is through
Hmm.
our the intangible things that we can't even possibly understand.
Right. And at the
So,
end of the day, it's all about connecting.
absolutely.
And connecting with your customer, connecting with
Yes.
your family, your friends, and
Yes.
everybody. It's all about
We
connecting.
are relational
We
beings,
are.
and AI is not a relational being.
Right. It's a yeah, we're right.
And so I understand people's fear and, the fear of losing jobs has been
Hmm.
around since
Right.
the beginning.
Hmm.
And I remember growing up with my dad in the advertising world, he was a typographer. He did
Oh,
typesetting.
wow.
Yeah, so, I mean,
Right. Look
that
at
job went by
that.
the wayside, and when I was working at an agency in Chicago, I had worked with a creative director, and I knew how to do some typesetting using the computer. And I
Mm.
showed him, and he just, "Well, we don't have to send that out for type?" I said, "No, we don't have to send that out for type. I can do this right here," because it was for a mock-up for
Mhm.
a very popular bakeware company. And I said, "In terms of doing this mock-up to show the client, why don't we just do this in-house
Mhm.
instead of spending money on sending it out for type?" And he just was mind blown.
Right. Oh, that's
I'm telling
cool.
my age also.
Nah, that's awesome. It has been wonderful having you on here chatting about 2024 marketing trends. Amy, if our listeners want to get a hold of you, how can they do so?
The easiest way is to direct traffic to my website, which is amybrightcreative.com.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
And thank you, friends, for joining me today and every week here on The Confident Entrepreneur, brought to you by True Fashionistas. If you want to go on to my website to check out all of my online courses that I have for your small business, you can head to jenniferannjohnson.com. Have a fabulous day.